today I thought we would go over a little issue that I'm working on. So, okay, this is the box that I designed for our awls. So this is one of the awls that we sell. I think it's really nice to ship it off in like a keepsake box. So here is the box made in plywood. I love the Hinge system because all the pieces are cut out of flat material. Nothing has to be like turned. There's no metal hardware. Everything is just cut off the plywood. It's a great little system. We have these little round circles that you glue onto the square pieces, and they fit like in this little hole. Now the problem with this, while working great, is if you wanted to just like wrap this up in paper and like send it off to the post office, this is a problem. I mean, this like protrudes on both the top and to the left. It's also more prone to being like, you know, hit and like break off. So I want to redesign this where we still use the same like mechanism, but we're gonna bring it inset, so it's on the sides instead. So let's work on that. This, of course, is all about design. Let's go into the program. I'm using Aspire by Vectric here to design. The initial hinge looks like this, where it's sitting further out. Now for the new system, this is the new box. I moved the hole into the side instead, and now it's all about where exactly to position that in order for the lid to fit perfectly. So I made a representation of the lid. In other words, I'm looking through the box and I just want to understand how it's going to move. So I start rotating the lid, and I make sure that I have the rotation point of the hinge placement so that I can turn it up and know where the lid is going to hit. So when I put the back piece in here, I can see how high I can get my hinge and how high the back piece can go as well. I can select here, I mean, if I want the box to be shorter, I can rotate this more down and have a greater opening. But then you do have this gap here to consider. Now, if you wanted to have no gap, you could move in this piece, so it's basically existed over here, and it didn't interfere with that, but then you'd lose space inside the box instead. So everything is a compromise. So this is what I came up with. This is actually a slightly different shape for a box that I'm making right now. So we have two sides, and you can see that there's a hole inside. These little holes here are for the tabs to fit, you know, the other parts to fit together, so you can kind of ignore those right now. But this round is the most important part. We have these little rounds that we glue on. You don't want to lose those. The top on this new box is not just one piece. We actually need to glue a piece on, which is this guy right here. That allows the pivot point to be moved lower without the lid being moved lower. Back's a little lower because it actually has to turn. The first thing we're going to do is glue this together and make this one piece, and then let that set up. Now put it in. I'm going to clamp so we get some good pressure. So next up we have these little rounds, and we're going to glue them so they have a square hole in the center, and we're going to glue them on right here on either side, so they sit like that and they're attached. That way they're captured inside the box, yet they spin freely. I'm gonna put that on there. This basically allows you to make round moving things that have square tops. Okay, so we're just gonna let this set up. Okay, I've got my pieces now. The lid has glued up. We can take that apart. The key about this lid being like this, it's that everything needs to be glued together in one shot. We got the lid coming down with the rounds, and this fits perfectly onto the side. Before we put in that side, we're gonna put the lid in, and so that's just gonna sit, and it's resting on the front piece. So this is just loose. It's not actually like glued in anywhere, but we have this little protruding hinge, and I want to make sure there's no actually glue on there, because you don't actually want to, you want to be able to have this moving, so you don't want to glue this in. So now you can see here we have this little gap here, and that's just the nature of this design. Now that's all good. All those pieces are nice and perfect. Just a little pressure. Okay, so this have had a little chance to dry now. I think we should be pretty good. Okay, it's quite perfect. Obviously the shape is different, so just ignore that. What we're really interested here is the hinge system. We have box number 1 with this round hinge, and then we have box number 2. So the hinge is literally just placed inside. Now, it looks similar from the side, except from the fact that, you know, this protrudes. So this comes out and to the side, and we solved that issue now. So now it is just flat and it's straight. So if you wanted to just package this up, put brown paper around it, you can do that. There's no protruding parts that can just break off easily. Now, the one difference here is this back. So here, this is solid. And here now we have a little hole. When we open this, it goes like that. Whereas this guy, you know, it can go all the way with. There's no limit. There's a limit here, and that's because it hits the back right there. If you wanted to go all the way down, you could lower this, or you could bring the back in more. That would be an idea. Okay, I was debating about something because I do like this a lot, but there are obviously some instances where maybe you don't want a gap here. You could also make this thing slightly longer and see if we can find a sweet spot where it is almost closed. Might not be completely sealed, but there might be, you know, we could create slightly less of a gap. This is a box that we use for the spinning tops. This was one of the prototypes, so it is not completely, you know, we're using this for something else. Yeah, it's like screws or whatever in here. But this is a similar design. It just, you know, it's more boxy, so we sell the spinning tops in here as well. I think the protrusion looks kind of nice, and it works really well. However, this is definitely a little bit cleaner and a little bit less prone to breaking. This box right here I wanted to paint and engrave and fill with Christmas candies to give away to, you know, friends and neighbors, and we're going to make a bunch of these boxes. I was actually thinking, I like that you can see that this is a hinge, and I was thinking about maybe painting the hinge a separate color from the rest of the box, you know, painting the main box like dark green, and maybe painting this little round part red, so you can really see that it's sitting in there, that it is inset, and it is loosely spinning. I just love that feature. I think that is a really cool part. So I'm just kind of thinking about what other ways are there to design a movable hinge system that you cut completely out in wood. I mean, this is one, but I'm sure there are many others. Let me know if you have any thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.